Mangwanani malelepo fukenjani Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show which remains your portal to Africa's most potent stories. You are joined by Ashwin Bedi, and we're going to be joined as well by Mr. Mike Sichula, who is in Lusaka, Zambia, delivering the Zambia Report. But prior to that, these are some of the top stories on the broadcast. Tendai Biti arrest over opposition to constitutional amendment raises dissent concerns in Zimbabwe. Now, Tunisia jailed anti-racism activist Saadia Mosbah for 8 years. Burkina Faso launches computer recycling drive to expand digital access. UK and Nigeria reach agreement to simplify migrant returns. Africa faces jet fuel price surge as supply disruptions intensify. We talk about Africa's leading airports. And we close off with Kenya and Uganda launching new phase of cross-border railway project. What a lovely image of the two presidents there, William Ruto and Yoweri Museveni. This is Africa Good Morning. We'll be getting into your top stories shortly.
Namibia is a land of movement, with waves that never stop reaching forward. Here, adventure is not something we search for. It is something we are born into. In every corner of this country, creativity rises, from artists, from athletes, from dreamers. And when the world comes to explore Namibia, they discover something extraordinary. Because when sport moves people, creativity moves ideas, and tourism moves the world toward us. Something powerful happens. A platform where movement meets imagination, where industries connect, where opportunity grows, where Namibia's next chapter begins. Welcome to the Creative Sport Tourism Expo. Exhibit, partner, experience. Creative sport tourism.
So, Tendai Biti, a Zimbabwean opposition politician, a lawyer, as well as the former finance minister and of the Constitution Defenders Forum, that is the organization he's currently a part of. He was arrested on Saturday, March 21, in Mutare, Zimbabwe, in connection with his opposition to Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3. The bill is linked to the 2030 agenda, widely seen as a move to extend President Emmerson Mnangagwa's tenure beyond current term limits. Biti was detained alongside journalist Fanuo Chinowaita, Morgan Ngube, and CDF Director of Programs and lawyer Nyasha Gerald, while they were holding a private meeting for mobilizing support against the proposed constitutional changes. They were taken to Mutare Central Police Station and charged under the Maintenance of Peace and Order Act for allegedly failing to notify police of a public meeting. The arrests have drawn criticism from opposition figures and civil society groups who view the move as part of efforts to suppress dissent against the constitutional reforms. Now here is Tendai Biti speaking earlier about Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 and what they're willing to do to stop it.
We will die for this constitution. We will be arrested for this constitution. We will exercise the rights that are provided for in our favor in the constitution, in particular section 57 of the constitution, which allows us to demonstrate, to petition peacefully. Just like the function of the president and cabinet is to uphold the constitution, is to protect the constitution. When Mr. Mnangagwa and his cabinet sit to make these vicious amendments on the constitution, they are breaching the functions and obligations that they've been given in part 5 of the constitution of protecting the constitution and upholding the constitution. Therefore, their proposed amendment is treason. Their proposed amendments are breaching the constitution of Zimbabwe that they took and swore oaths to uphold.
Now, following the same theme, unfortunately, in Tunisia, a court has sentenced human rights activist Saadia Mosbah to 8 years in prison and fined her £26,000. Mosbah, who leads the anti-racism group MNEMTI, was arrested in May 2024 and charged with money laundering and illicit enrichment. The 66-year-old has been a prominent advocate for sub-Saharan migrants in Tunisia, particularly following a 2023 speech by President Kais Saied that described hordes of illegal migrants as a demographic threat. Since President Saied dissolved parliament in 2021, opposition figures and rights groups have raised concerns about a steady erosion of rights and freedoms in the country. During Thursday's hearing, Mosbah was tried alongside other activists, with her lawyers arguing that their clients were innocent. Her son was sentenced to 3 years in prison, while another campaigner received a 2-year sentence, according to AFP reports. Now, Burkina Faso, led by Captain Ibrahim Traore, has introduced a computer recycling initiative aimed at expanding digital inclusion and supporting vulnerable communities as part of efforts to accelerate national digital transformation. The program, launched on 14 March 2026 in Ouagadougou under the ICT program in Faso, focuses on refurbishing outdated public sector computer equipment and redistributing it to underserved groups. Initial collections from government offices produced 30 computers along with keyboards, printers and accessories, with technicians and students restoring a significant portion, including 22 central units and several functional screens and peripherals. Vagnin Zebo, ProTAF coordinator, stated the initiative is built on the principle that unused equipment can still serve others, highlighting its social value. The program also includes training for women in Gosi, where around 30 participants are receiving digital skills instruction between 16 and 19 March, covering office tools and internet use. Beneficiaries include widows of defense and security personnel, women's groups, and other at-risk populations as part of a deliberate inclusion strategy. And we end our top stories with the UK and Nigeria. The United Kingdom and Nigeria have agreed to streamline the return of individuals who have no legal right to remain in the UK. For the first time, Nigerian authorities will accept UK-issued letters and identification document used for individuals without valid passports, removing the need to wait for emergency travel documents before deportation. The agreement was reached during President Bola Tinubu's state visit to the UK, which Prime Minister Keir Starmer described as historic, marking the first such visit by a West African leader in 37 years. During the visit, President Tinubu met the Prime Minister at Downing Street, while the King hosted a state banquet at Windsor Castle, highlighting ties between the two countries. Both nations committed to strengthening cooperation on trade, infrastructure and sustainable growth, as well as defense and security to tackle transnational crime and terrorism. The Home Office said the deal will ease the return of visa overstayers, foreign criminals and failed asylum seekers. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. We'll shortly be joined by Mr. Mike Sichula as he delivers the Zambia Report. He does have breaking news of some mob justice, which, as we know, is illegal, which happened in Zambia, and also some good news. Zambia is switching to a 24-hour economy. We'll be talking to Mike after the weather.
week's decisions, today's debates, tomorrow's consequences. The agenda puts the spotlight on Namibia's most pressing issues and the people driving them. From headline makers to groundbreakers, we bring you voices and perspectives at the center of the national conversation. One story, one interview, the depth you'll not find anywhere else. That is the agenda.
All right, it's time for us to talk to Mr. Mike Sichula, who is in Lusaka, Zambia. Uliwanji.
Bueno, Moribwanji. Good morning to our dear viewers.
Tiribwino. We start with a rather sad, harrowing, and quite frankly, horrific report. Mike, I'm going to let you get into this one.
It's a very sad state of affairs, Ashwin, and indeed our dear viewers, that we are breaking this story. Maybe some of you might have seen it online, but what happened is that a 46-year-old woman, you can see in the picture, had traveled from Chingola into Kisasa, which is in northwestern province in Kalumbi. When she went to this place, on the day that she met her death, she was at a Mazi market within the area, and some gentleman, a male person named Prince Ntambo, should be aged 25. He shouted that by meeting this woman, touched him on the shoulder. Then when she did that, his private parts disappeared. And you can imagine this was in a crowd place. And when he shouted this, a crowd mob, as you can see from that video, descended on this faceless woman, and they attack her with sticks, bricks, what they could lay their hand on until she met her death. That's a very, very sad state of affairs. So in this story, police have managed to apprehend about 8 people who were in connection with her death. But something that is also interesting is that before this story, in Chingola itself, there was a senior citizen who was attacked by a mob in similar fashion, similar accusation, to say the tap, but him tapping you on the shoulder, he made the disappearance of private parts for about 5 men. But when they went to police, they discovered that nothing of that nature happened. So police also on the Copa in Angola have apprehended people who gave false information to police. But in Chingola, the gentleman was not killed, but he was also beat. So this is a developing story that is currently happening in Zambia. And President Hakainde Hichilema directed the police to ensure that this matter is contained. As you remember, our viewers, is that in Zambia, we had similar cases towards the elections where there will be talk of gassing people, and as well as lethal killing. So this also looks to be one stories that usually happens during or before the general elections. This is why President Hakainde Hichilema is saying this must be stopped.
Yeah, as we said, truly, truly horrific. We'll be looking forward to seeing the responses to that. We know, obviously, socially, that story has blown up, and yeah, a sad one there, Mike. We swing over to some positive news, depends on how you look at it. 24-hour economy in Zambia. Mike, when I first heard this, all I heard was if it's 3 a.m. and I'm coming from granddaddy's, I can still get myself a mosi lager and perhaps some groceries.
Yes, it's some good news that was availed to the public, disclosed to the public. Information Minister Cornelius, who said that is convinced that the Zambian economy can sustain a 24-hour economy. However, God is also aware that for to succeed, the prerequisites that will be put in place, such as encouraging more recruitment of police officers so that they can provide security during the day and security during evenings. And also, these concerns have been shared by members of the public, who have said that who have welcomed, and they're saying this must be encouraged in order to create more jobs. We are going to have a situation of double shifts in some companies, double shifts in some business or by business operators. So it is something that a lot of people are happy, and they are hoping that measures will be put in place that it does not lead to criminal activities in places where there is no proper security, there's no proper provision of security lights and so forth. So it is something that even the business community are also that finally Zambians wake up. They can wake up at what time, go to a shopping mall, get whatever they want, and go back home safely without anyone attacking them.
So, in an interesting case, Mike, and we're going into politics, opposition leader Brian Mundubile was arrested. Give us the details.
Yes, quite interesting, because in the fashion he was arrested. Brian Mundubile is a member of parliament for constituency, and he has expressed a willingness, desire to be a presidential challenger, an opposition challenger to President Hakainde Hichilema. So he belongs to an alliance called Alliance. As you all know, there are a lot of political wrangles within the former party, the PF. So under the alliance, he has been selected as the president candidate 2020 elections in August. So he was supposed to travel to South Africa for business and other engagements. But when he reached to the KK National Airport, police team could not allow him to fly out country. So he was detained at this airport for a number of hours before he was taken to Twimpam police station, where again he stayed there for a number of hours until around midnight. That is when they detained without giving him a charge. The following morning, before 8 hours, that's when he was given a charge of seditious practices, which also incorporates hate speech. They accused him of having funded a social media page in Zambia called Munyao, which uses speech against politicians. And the police are saying he was in charge of funding as well as provision of information to this page. So he was charged with that offense, a case that he was warned and cautioned about 2 years ago, should be 2023 to 2024. So there's been a silence between that time and them blocking him at the KK International Airport. When he came out, he said he does not fear President Hakainde Hichilema, and whatever Hakainde Hichilema has done has made a mistake, because now he's going to be full throttle to decampaign him as we go towards the general elections. The good part was released and expected to appear in court soon.
Now, Mike, Zambia has signed a debt restructuring deal, and this is with Italy.
Yes, this was revealed by Finance Minister Stumbeko Musokotwane, who said that the deal relates to a loan worth 94.6 million euros, which was contracted in 2018 between Zambia and the Italian lender. But again, this debt has moved from the Italian lender to be under the Italian government. So the restructuring has extended the repayment from 2027 to 2046, something which the finance minister says to give the Zambian government breathers in order to mobilize this money and pay by 2043.
Thank you very much, Mike. Sorry for that short delay there. However, you close off with a big one. Chipolopolo versus Argentina.
This is the big one indeed, and it is the first these two nations are going to meet. So Zambia will play Argentina, the world champions, in Argentina, and the match will be held on the in the week 30th to 31st. But as you all know, Zambia was supposed to play in the defense tournament in Botswana. So what the Football Association has done is that they have split the two sides. So they have picked the senior most players and the most enterprisers to go and face Argentina. Then this team will be headed by a veteran coach who has been retained to the national team for his third time, George Rwandamina. Then the young team that will be assembled will be coached by assistant coach Oswald Mutapa. So the big one is something that has excited the football community in Zambia, because time Zambia played the South American nation was against Brazil, and Zambia lost that match by 2-0. The likes of former AFCON Christophe Tongo and many others, they featured in that game. So the notable names that the coach includes Patson Daka, Fashion Saka, and new youngsters, and Zambians are hoping that maybe they can pull us against the world champions they are back yet.
Thank you very much, Mike Sichula. Let's stick to national football with regards to our focus. There's no need to talk club football too much at this stage. I think Chipolopolo is just fine for us. Thank you for bringing us the Zambia Report.
Thank you very much. And Africa, good morning. I will not divert from the football for this week. Thank you very much. Have a blessed week ahead.
Right. That was Mike Sichula, straight from Zambia, Lusaka. We're going to say goodbye from here. DSTV 285, GoTV 25, OneUp2.com, Network Media Hub, ntvafrica.my.na is where you can watch Africa Good Morning. Let's have a look at the economic indicators as we say Swera Jakanaka returning with Zimbabwe news tomorrow.